Last track for today, last track for this year's ITB, it's a destination tech track. So yes, we do talk about technology here today. We talk about augmented reality, of course. We talk about artificial intelligence in every way. We learned already AI is everywhere, so we can be trustful. It's here as well. We talk about data analysis. We talking about visitor flow management. And a funny thing in the beginning, extraordinary thing, we talk about human beings, just because sometimes we forget them. Digital humanism is especially, in my point of view, amazing important things for destinations, for not forgetting hospitality and the way to treat human guests. So I'm delighted to present or to welcome Eric Sherratt. He's the CEO and founder of Boulder, which is a company who's really strong in the field of building valuable content for guests and for destinations. And the question is how to bring this together, how to find the right approach, how to find the right technology. And the rest explains Eric. Thanks for being here, Eric. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's yours.
Yes. All right. I'm going to talk about the human piece in technology. So being human is sometimes a struggle, especially in a consumer-based economy. And I think one of the most important things we can do when we start deploying AI and other technologies is to remember to put the human being in the center. So here, last week, I had the good fortune of being in Scotland with my family and bringing them to work. I was working with community-based tourism with Scotto and Karen Tobin on a concept called Be Local. So what we're looking at is how can we engage the local communities? And what is the benefits of being received as a local? So we ended up jumping on a plane, no planning, just trusting our network in Scotland. And it was an amazing journey. We got to be in these places where we could do what we love, and we were guided by people we trusted, and we got to see all the exciting stuff. And I think that when we think about it, you will never be able to do this with AI if we deploy it in a consumer-based model. So I want us to do something from Karen's playbook here today. We'll take a small moment and press pause. And we're going to reflect on what it means to be human. And think hard, deep, what does it mean, a moment in your life where that matters to you, right? What does it entail? What's important? For me, this is such a moment. Spending time with my family, doing what we love, being with people that I care about in places that I care about. I don't know what it was for you, but I'm betting that at least one of these two components were part of it, humans or nature. So now if you think about that moment, again, would you sell it? Could you sell it? What's the price of it? To me, it's priceless. And priceless is experienced individually in each human's consciousness. That's why it's priceless. You can't replicate it. And then, of course, the question, is the technology we're using built for priceless? Supporting it? In my experience, running adventure businesses, I've been a mountain guide for 20 years. Technology doesn't do that job for me. So the smaller you are, the harder it is to work with technology that is made for capturing customers. The way we organize currently is to capture customers, own them, and exploit them. Maybe that's not the intention, but that's often how we feel when we are on the consumer side of things. We become a product. We get trapped in what we in technology call walled gardens, right? So we go in, and then we get these beautiful tools that we can create stuff, but the value is not for us. So if we do a deconstruction of big tech, right? The companies that are currently building our AI. The idea is users build tools, marketplaces. And of course, who is marketplace? Who is tools? That's the big question, right? And I think when we use this approach, we limit the value that you can create. So let me just talk a little bit about technology for priceless. So when we look at the difference between something built for priceless and something built for consumption, the optimization looks different. We optimize to repeat the process, while priceless, you have to create a unique new process every time. And that's how, network works in the real world, right? You meet people, even if it's the same person, they've done something since last time you talked to them. So there is something changing all the time. It's what we in system thinking call an open system. So an open system has a very different model. And then in open systems, you can have that classical system where we think in natural science, or we can go to the human science, right? And that's then you need social constructs. So it becomes very, very, very different. And then, if you think about the market, a digital market is very often not a free market. It's a very strictly controlled market. While the open spaces in our real life, you can choose to go and come, and you can talk to the people you want, right? So this is from a community-based tourism project we're doing in Rwanda. This is Red Rocks Rwanda's yearly festival. They bring in the community, the locals, of course, any tourist that wants to come, but they are giving all the locals a place to share value and talk to each other. And it's very unique. It's priceless. So, in order to move to a more priceless way of deploying technology, we need to really think about how we deploy it. And in human-centered technology, or with using, if we deconstruct that, we have to look at peers, not users, right? We have to think of the other entities in the system as peers. And what does peers mean? It means that we are equal. We have the same powers. We play at the same level. And then when we think about the tools we are deploying, we need to deploy tools with a purpose. They are supposed to serve human creativity. Because if we are creating, we are not consuming. And then we create much more value. And if we can build the connections we want, instead of being on a marketplace, being a product, we get ownership to the things we create, to the people we are connecting with. And that's how we can achieve priceless value. And if you achieve priceless value, so anyone here, oh, I need to earn money, of course you do. I mean, this is not about not surviving, but this is about going from surviving to thriving. And for the small companies out there that are using technology today, they are barely getting by. So if tourism wants to change and wants to get at the head of the game, we need to think about these things. And a way to do that is deploying human-centered practices at the core of everything we do. And human-centered practices is to make sure that individuals have the capacity, the autonomy, the agency to be actively participating in the relationships that they are pursuing in the real world. And I'm going to share a case study with you. This is from another sector, just not to offend anyone, right? But also because it allows you guys to imagine how it will deploy for you. So I'm not putting any boxes around it. Last year, we were contacted by a group of sports clubs that had an issue filling their stadiums, declining seating over years. And they are one of the best handball teams in the world. Right? So, strange, 400 people on a 7,000 stadium. Not very fun. So, they asked us, can you guys help us figure out a solution for this problem? Now they had united, 16 clubs had come together to ask this question because they had all the same problems. And we said, oh, well, we'll give it a try. It's a little early days, but we'll try. And then we asked them to, again, okay, what's the least risk for you guys, right? So we got a 12-year-old girl team. Their matches were 20 people forced to come, right? Whoever drives them. So that was their audience. So before I go to what we did, I'll just illustrate the problem. Participation gap. I think this is in the research. It's really interesting. There is a connection currently between technology, how advanced it is, and how many people are participating in co-creating value. So co-creation goes down the more advanced the technology is. That's something to think about. And also we have clear numbers. In the big digital platforms, only 1% are the creators. 90% just passively consuming. And then you have like 9%. They're creating some of the time, but that's not why they are there. When they're creating, they create because they have to. So that means that there is a big untapped value. And that value is not just the priceless value, right? It's money on the table, stretched out. Imagine having 50% creating instead of 1. That's 50 times the economy. So let's do conservative then, 5% more. Still an insane number. I'm not going to even bother calculating it. You can do it yourself. So this is the reason why we have to change. More human value, better life, better quality, and we can thrive. So what did they do? The sport team, they got together. They used technology built for human-centered practices, where you can collaborate. You can create a story together. So that's what they did. On a Wednesday evening, we put them in. We said, OK, we'll teach you how to use this. They created a poster for their game. And we said, now use your network. Use this power. Take it to your friends, your family, the people you care about, and see what happens. What happened was magic. I would even say it was priceless. So, you're curious? So you remember the other picture? Just go back. This is from a match. This is not from an empty stadium, but it is an empty stadium. And what you see next is the same stadium. They started on a Wednesday, and this was the result on Saturday match day. And they sold the tickets. 12-year-old girl team, they earned 600 euros. They overfilled the stadium, and the deployment time, 1 day, 2 days to work, and 230 people at the stadium. First time. Of course, we couldn't believe what we were seeing. This was crazy, and it is crazy. What they shared, the link to the match invitation, 60% of the visitors bought a ticket. Anyone that done a newsletter campaign knows that that's like mind-blowing shit. So we did it again, and we did it again, and it worked every time. Now the rest of the sport clubs are getting on board, and they're even collaborating between the sport clubs. So the competing team is selling tickets for the home team because everyone wins. And this is how you close the participation gap. You give people power. Everyone in the network gets power. They get tools to collaborate, and then everyone wins. So this is what we can do in tourism. We can do this with the visitors, with our customers. It's just about having the right goal. So what are the big changes between these two ways of organizing? The old way or the current, depending on your perspective. It's all about quantity. Getting it out there. But it's also about you create stories, you put them out there, and then they're gone. Never to be found again. I'm betting that some of you have been on LinkedIn, or I don't use Facebook anymore. But anyways, Instagram, whatever mass communication channel you have out there. You throw it out, and you never see it again. You spend lots of hours on it, and a very limited return. Of course, sometimes you get the right phone call from the right person, and it just makes it worth it. So, but also it's about one-directional communication, right? So you don't get people to engage. It's very hard. And so when you think about your next deployment of technology, or even in your organization, because this is not just about technology, I would say it's about attitude. It's about how you organize your business. Because currently we are organizing in a very old school way. We are organizing in an industrial model. And industrial doesn't work. And industrial has never worked for the small guy in tourism. So with the changes that are happening and with AI, you deploy AI for everyone, not AI just for the big one, right? Because now, if you do that, then everyone wins. If you do it for using the big tools, that is the big marketplaces, then you're giving away your value. You're giving it away for free, while this is actually the biggest opportunity in human history to change that. But it requires us to make active choices. You have to want to pursue priceless. So in the human way, you would promote deep relationships with your customers, with your friends, because now your customer becomes your greatest ambassador, right? If you have tools to spread the news about the place you love, you would do it. And I have been so many times in conversation with people, we get to talk about things we care about, and what do? We say, oh, yeah, I have this book that you should read, right? Oh, shit, how do I share it, right? I'll share it later. Give me your email. Why not just share it straight away? If you had all your data in your own backpack, and you had a small AI working for you, you would just say, hey, find that article about digital humanism. Share it to the lady over there, right? She will want to read it, and it would happen. But I can't do that with traditional technology. I could only do that if I had technology that were built to serve me on my terms. Then I could use that technology to build trusted networks for myself and my community and the people that I care about. So, that said, I think that if we deploy this type of thinking and we give our customers power, we will earn their trust. And that means that loyalty is not something that you can demand one-sided. It's something that you earn from trusting someone and giving them what they need. So, when we come into the technology tools that we're going to be talking more about, make sure to ask the questions like, who is this serving? Who is this AI technology serving? Is it working for me? Is it working for profit? Or is it working for priceless? And there is a key element to the human way of organizing, right? We work together. So you should talk to your neighbor and say, hi, what can we do together to create priceless value for both of us? So that said, I'm urging everyone, work together, find some company that you want to work with, and pursue priceless. That's my encouragement to everyone in the industry. We work together, we will create more value, and we will empower the small guy, and of course, even the big guys will earn more money. So thank you. You will find everything and all the reference on this link, and also the deck, and you can connect with me. Thank you.
Eric, thank you so much. I think we got a lot to think about, so let's recap a little bit. Human-centered technology. I mean, we all know, we can imagine what it is, but what is the difference between equal access to, like you described, compared to a established social network, without naming it, just because you're so polite you don't name anyone, so...
Oh yeah, I don't want to offend anyone, but I can.
Can, yeah, feel free.
No. I think that there is a big difference. If you create, let's say on Facebook, to use someone that's big enough to be blamed, right?
Yeah, someone has to be blamed.
They would take my information when I put it out there, and then I will use it and sell it to someone else, right?
For sure.
So, but I can't access that. I have to pay to access that, right? So the access is not equal, just on that note, right? So you have to really...
yes.
There is a big difference, because if I have it, what I produce, when I use my tools, and I end up having the tools in my own structure,
Okay.
now I can distribute the way I want, right?
Up from a technical point, I got this, but forgetting, I say it on the commercial way, forgetting sales power for instance, for your handball club, isn't it the same to combine forces on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever? Or
no, there is another big difference, because these networks, they capture the marketplace, right? So the network is not yours, it's theirs, right? So when the big social media platforms, they ask you to create, and then they control the network. And controlling the network is controlling the marketplace, and is controlling the price. So that you can really see, just to use a more like place to home, right? We run a farm, regenerative farm, and we have guests coming. And we use Airbnb, right? They have a monopoly on renting out beds, right? But they're not good enough for us to kind of explain what we do, because we don't really rent out beds. We are selling experiences. So it degrades our product. And the beauty of that setting is that they ask us, oh, now you put up your rooms. Now why don't you let us control the price?
it's true. Yeah.
It's like you want the marketplace to decide what you're selling your rooms for. I don't want that. So, but we live in the world we're living. We can change it, but it takes behavioral change. It takes one step at a time. So it's going to be a very different world when everyone has their own technology.
Can you convince us, and I think this is essential, that potential, whatever you call them, user, customer, guest, wherever you come from in our audience, are willing to enter this new human-centered network?
They should. The most important reason is that if you're not big enough to be the monopoly, right, then you have to work together with all the small players equally to prevent monopolies from happening. That's what we call democracy. And digital world is not democracy. It's a technocracy. So what they call techno-feudalism. There's a really good book, by the way. Read it.
You talked already about AI. Is there anything else that really powers you, that will be helping to push forward digital humanism in travel or in travel tech?
I think the most important thing is the empowerment of each small business, right? So that is where we can do the most. There is so many businesses out there. I mean, in Norway, 70% of the businesses is less than one employee. That's something to think about, right? So they can never beat Google at the AI game.
They have to collaborate.
They have to collaborate.
Yes. Okay.
But that's how you win.
Thank you.
Yes.
Erik Sierset, CEO and founder of Boulder. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
By the way, Erik, maybe just a final question. What is your personal opinion about augmented reality?
Oh, I think it's something very exciting on the horizon. I mean, I had an adventure center where we were having that at the heart early days. Something I really believe in. It can expand our horizon and ability to do stuff that we can't really do in the physical world. So it can open a realm to a new way of being human, but I don't know when.
then you should stay with us just because we're talking about augmented
I will.
reality now. Thank
you.
And indeed, thank you, Eric.